And I did speak earlier to Jan Eliasson, the UN Deputy Secretary General. He's the former Swedish Foreign Minister, and he's an experienced hand in UN humanitarian interventions in Africa and the Balkans. I asked him about the enormous stakes in trying to establish security and what would be the impact if the Central African Republic does fully implode. Mr. Eliasson, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
What do you think is going to be the outcome of French forces going to join African Union forces in the CAR?
I think it will have a positive impact on the very critical security situation that we have in Central African Republic. There are already 450 French troops there, and within the next 5 or 6 days there will be another 800. So altogether 1,250. And in the meantime, we will also try to help the African countries contributing to their operation to increase their presence within, hopefully, the next 2 or 3 weeks. And we hope this will have a stabilizing effect.
And how will you have that stabilizing effect? People have said the first thing that has to happen is the capital, Bangui, must be secured. Roads in and out of the capital need to be secured. Are you confident that that can take place under these current circumstances?
You can never be fully confident under these very insecure circumstances. But we already have reports that some of the elements that are causing trouble are moving out of Bangui. So I think securing Bangui is probably doable. Then the question is, where in the country will we have the danger spots and how do we get there? And that's the next chapter, so to speak.
Well, exactly. And to that point, we're told that some 400,000 residents of that country are threatened by the current violence and instability, the chaos there. And it's developed into a sectarian war between Muslims and Christians. Did it start like that? And how worried are you about what even UN officials are saying, a potential genocide?
Well, the Secretary General and I and our colleagues are extremely worried, and we sounded the alarm to the Security Council last week in a more dramatic way than I can recall in recent times. We wanted really to send not an early warning, but I would say a late warning, a call for action very soon to stabilize the situation before it evolves into mass atrocities, which could be a risk. We have reports of sexual violence, of child soldier recruitment, of also problems, huge problems of food and shelter and security for the civilian population. So we are encouraged by the speed with which the Security Council has worked. They will probably have a resolution ready by Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, and then we will see the increase on the ground within the next 5-6 days of the French forces, and then similarly from the Africans.
So let me ask you the bigger picture then. Obviously, since its independence from France in 1960, there have been coups and counter-coups and many, many leaders and a constant cycle of humanitarian disaster there. We've seen what happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo. For years, this terrible, terrible war and millions of people affected there. And now, an attempt to try to end that. My question to you is, how does one end these cycles of violence? Is it even possible under today's conditions?
Well, we have to work in the short-term perspective and in the medium and long-term perspective. In the short term now, we have to stabilize the situation, stop this very dangerous trend of Muslims versus Christians, which brings in an emotional quality to the conflict and could very much spread into something very dangerous. And that's why we have a remarkably strong signal to the Council. Then, of course, you have the problem in some states where you have very weak institutions. You have a huge country. You have very weak infrastructure. You have mineral resources, which is an attractive target for even criminal elements. We have a very bad mix in Central African Republic.
And just to be clear, what do you think the prospects are of finalizing this peace deal between the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo and the M23 guerrillas, who've been defeated militarily, but the full peace agreement hasn't been signed yet?
Well, that is another area where we have, I would say, pretty positive developments. Since we set up the strategic framework for the Congo with the involvement of neighboring states, We have also a diplomatic path that we follow, and the M23 and in Kinshasa deal, we hope, will be closed very soon.
We've seen terrible, terrible slaughter in that part of Africa over the last 20 years, whether it was the Rwanda genocide of '94, again, the Democratic Republic of Congo, now this. Give me a sense of how important it is that France is stepping up to the plate, first in Mali, now in CAR. It really is shouldering quite a heavy security burden.
I commend them for this action in both Mali and in Central African Republic. Secretary General and I are rather, I would say, disappointed that we so often use the term never again. The very fact that we repeat never again, I think, is a sign that it's about time that we act on serious human rights violations early on. Serious human rights violations are the first signs of something that could turn into mass atrocities. And now this time we are acting late, I must admit, but hopefully not too late.
Jan Eliasson, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.